Okay, I think it's live. Let's see. Is it? Perfect. I see it changing. It's coming. I'm gonna have to turn the volume off over here. Let's see. There we go. All right. Alrighty. I am going to be doing a live here today by myself. So I've done a couple of these now. I'm starting to do some live coaching of my artists here in the studio as well as on Zoom. And I'm just like literally opening up my studio for the whole world to see. So I believe and have learned myself that one of the most powerful ways that we learn is through the observation of somebody else's experience. And that's because you see yourself reflected in that person that you're watching. And I've experienced this. I know you probably have too, even in other avenues of life. So I'm starting to do that here and showcase some of my favorite people and some new students, some really long-time students that I've worked with for many years. You're going to see some really cool people step into the studio. I've got some really awesome high-level artists that I've got coming in the future moving forward. So I'm excited to start doing that here for everybody. Today, it's actually just me. So what I wanted to do today in this live is actually coach myself. And that might sound a little bit strange, but the point of this is actually so that you are able to come and just like watch me troubleshoot my own voice in real time. So I basically promised that I would not sing a note or warm up at all. And it was actually kind of hard up until today, up until this moment right now, about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So the warmness of my voice really is only because I've been awake since like 6 a.m. and talking and things like that. I have not been teaching at all yet today, so my voice is extra cold. And I'm going to go through what I would normally do to warm up myself or any other client that I have. But what I will be doing that's different is I will stop, and anytime I'm noticing things, I'm going to tell you what those things are and how and why I'm making adjustments in real time. So today also, while I'm doing this, I want to invite anybody who's watching to comment in the live chat because I'm going to be doing a giveaway of one of my brand new bundles that I have on my website of my digital courses. So for Black Friday, I have created, well, not me, my team, because I can't do these things, bundles of my digital courses. So my main digital courses include a course called Vocal Foundations, Top 4 Secrets of Pro Singers, Vocal Therapy, my warm-up courses, and I'm leaving one out. Oh, the brand new one, the Mixed Voice Masterclass. So I just released a brand new course, the Mixed Voice, all about the mixed voice. And the bundle I am giving away today, last week I think it was, I gave away a bundle of the whole, what I just listed, all 5 of those courses. Today the giveaway is the Masterclass Series bundle, which is the Top 4 Secrets of Pro Singers and the Mixed Voice Masterclass. And those are really all about developing your mixed voice, applying it to a song, and cultivating authenticity in your artistry, finding your unique sound. So those 2 courses are really good. I'm gonna be really honest with you. They're great, and I get fabulous feedback on those as well. And even though that Mixed Voice Masterclass one is brand new, I've already had people going through it and really loving it. So I'm excited to give that away to somebody. But here's the criteria for getting that free: is you got to comment on the live chat and subscribe on my YouTube channel. So those are the 2 main things. And as I get going, I know that the questions will begin to come in. So I'm going to just go ahead and get started. And as you begin to hear things and ask questions, you see things reflected in your own voice, put them in the chat. I'm going to start, as I almost always do, with lip rolls. An SOVT, especially a lip roll type of SOVT, is one of the easiest ways to start warming up your voice when it's stone cold and you got to get it going. You know, you got a lot of that frogginess, your range is really limited, you don't have much clarity in your tone. Lip rolls are really excellent for getting rid of a lot of that, bringing connection to the voice, expanding the range. I can actually sing to the tip top of my range in a lip roll that I don't know that I can get that in any other sound, maybe one other sound. So they're really, really good for helping you find the extremities of your range. Like I said, connecting and warming up. It's like a very low impact, high yield type of exercise. You get a lot of bang for your buck in this one. Very, very balancing as well. So one of my favorite scales that I love to do is this long Rossini scale pattern right here. So what I love on a lip roll that I always do is, well, I'm not going to do it right now because I'm doing a long scale. I have to have both hands to play this one. But if not, I'm always doing this. I'm using my fingers to push my cheeks up. I'm not squishing in. I'm not on my lips. I'm outside of them. I'm lifting the cheek weight up. That's the whole point. Okay, so to relax those mouth cheek muscles. So I'm gonna go right here. Like a dopey tone. Now here at the top, where I'm at right there, that's enough sharp. That's the top of my second bridge. There I notice that there's a tiny subtle shape shift that changes in my mouth as I'm allowing that sound to kind of like a C curve rotating forward. And as I do that, there's an element to share of my tongue slightly, very relaxed, moving forward and up, and basically like decreasing the spatial opening in my mouth, the resonant opening in my mouth. And it helps me to send that more into that head space so that I'm not trying to hold too much emphasis and weight in my mouth cavity, which is my chest voice resonator, because I need that thing to tilt, okay? See if you can kind of hear that subtle sound shift. Just feeling good so far. I'm not really having to adjust anything. I'm on my way to C7 if you're curious. Little tiny gap right there. You heard it kind of stop, right? It kind of released a little bit. Moving my mic a little bit closer. Up here, this is like A, B flat, B territory, which is kind of its own little transition because I wouldn't say it's a transition from whistle to like whistle 2.0. I wouldn't really name it. I would just notice that it feels like my chords want to compress there in order to get through. That is one of your signals of a transition point in the voice. But I feel it right here. I usually speed up the scale at the very, very top. This speed helps me bring release into my voice where it will try to slow down and push its way through. I don't want to do that. I want to release, and the momentum helps me to do that in this situation. So I'm going to do that one again. That was double high C, which is C7, I think. That's about as high as I ever have gone. Let's see if I've got one more in me. Hang on. Where would that be? Oh, right here. That's a little tight. That's an F. Okay, so this E is, let's count them because I don't ever pay attention to the numbers. Everybody's like, was that an F5? I'm like, I don't know. And then I have to count because I don't think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. E7. We're just stupid high. Nobody needs to sing that high. However, in terms of like performance, like it's not usable, right? I don't even know that maybe Mariah Carey went up that high. The point of it for me is it's very helpful for me to know, for myself and for my students, how thin my chords are capable of getting on any given day. I don't always have that note, like totally do not always have that note in my range. I usually have the double high C, which was here. That one, honestly, I'm feeling good. Glad I had it for you today. But I usually have that double high C, sometimes C sharp or D. But it tells me that my chords are doing a good job of thinning out and I'm pretty relaxed. Like I said, I'm cold, right? So I haven't been working my voice all day long. And while it's cold, it's not fatigued, right? It's super fresh in that regard. So I'm going to speak to this in a little bit because somebody was asking me about warming up early in the morning. Especially for all of those worship leaders out there who have to get up at the crack of dawn on a Sunday morning and be expected to sing, 3 services starting at like 8 a.m. And that's tough. So, and that doesn't even count your sound check and your rehearsal before that. So if that's you, drop that question in the chat because I want to be reminded to come back to it and speak to something that is very helpful beyond just your warm up that starts earlier on, okay? To help you kind of get to that point where you feel really good. Okay, I'm going to come back down. I'm going to skip notes coming back down for the sake of time because y'all don't really care about listening to this, but I need to bring myself back down from the stratosphere, so I do have to do that a little bit. So starting on the double high C instead of where I just left off, which was there. Excuse me. This is where I started. This note right here is very much speaking voice range for me. That's F below middle C. But now I'm going to go half step at a time to stretch it all the way down. That's A down there. Now, I don't have that note with clarity, but I do with vocal fry. So let's see. Let's count how many octaves I just did. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2/3. 4 octaves and 2/3. Which, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of range. Now I'm going to go into, it feels right now because it feels nice and thin and fresh. I'm going to go, I could go either way on whether or not I would do head voice or chest voice next. Maybe because I was so thinned out and easily accessible up there, I'm going to go up into, thank you, Miki, for the reminder of the early morning routine. I'm going to go into head voice, and then I'll take a moment and actually speak to that. Okay, I start my head voice right here. Head voice earliest mentioned for me is an A above middle C. A, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, no, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count that very first A, first note of the keyboard of the piano. All right, so here's the first note of my first bridge. It's easy for me to get into my head voice right here. So I'm going to go whoa, 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 and a dopey whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Notice the subtle puff of my cheeks and the emphasis on that W. Whoa, 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 whoa. And let me do it without the piano so you can hear it even better. you hear how there's the W sustaining in between the open vowel. In this regard, it might sound like these notes are separate, but they're actually totally connected. They're all legato. Whoa, that helps me to keep my chords thin. This is going to be especially important in the second bridge. Okay, so it's wanting to come apart right here. Now I'm getting close to that second bridge, so I'm going to navigate. How do I get this to close back up where it wants to kind of get split a little bit? You hear it almost sounds like the note flips a little bit. Now that means that the W is providing too much pressure. So I need to loosen the pressure of the consonant and go more for the purity and thinness of the vowel. See how I did that? Very, very different. And I'm going to keep that going through my second bridge. Now, some of you might have caught that I put vocal fry on that. The second bridge is a spot where the chords like to sometimes break apart in somebody's head voice. For soprano people out there, it's right in that E, F, F sharp transition in your head voice. For my tenors, it'd probably be about A, B flat, B. And when I say soprano and tenor, by the way, that basically encompasses like 90% of women and men, because most people, when I'm saying soprano, I don't mean like you're supposed to sing soprano in the choir and that's your sweet spot. What I do mean is that your first bridge shows up on a soprano first bridge or a tenor first bridge. You don't have to call yourself a tenor and have a tenor first bridge. Like, these are things I don't get hung up on, and I would encourage you to also do the same. Do not get hung up on them. Oh, thank you, Mickey. My camera is a Canon 5D Mark IV. That's what it is. And I say mine loosely. This is my husband's camera. Thanks, Tanner. Now, back to this, okay? If I go, that vocal fry helps me to make sure that I'm starting from a place of very thin, light connection rather than forcing something or making air be my primary motivator, which I don't need that up here. To be honest, you don't need a whole lot of air up in this higher register. Do you need some? Of course you do. Duh. But you don't need a lot. If you put too much in there, it'll sound like this. Woo, 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 woo. That's hard to do. You won't have any sustainability. You're going to run out of air, ironically. And it's really, really breathy. That's not actually working the muscle or the coordination. It's kind of allowing you to play with a style choice. And that, I mean, is at best case scenario. I want chord closure. I'm going to make a t-shirt. Y'all, that should be, I've been trying to think of like a merch line. I kid you not. So I'm a fan of like a graphic tee, okay? So I want to find one that I would wear or make one that I would wear. And I think maybe that should be like a slogan. I want more chord closure, or I want chord closure. Give me chord closure. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so, whoops. I hear this and feel this moving like this, that tilted C, that rotating C. Here, that B flat is in my third bridge. That's my whistle bridge, okay? That one is like, it's going to be a little bit more pressed if I carried on the way I was, which was nothing wrong with what I was doing, but in the higher areas, it needs to thin out more, right? So how do I do that? How do I thin it out more? It does sometimes feel like you're just sort of finding something, like finding a little crack in the wall to slip through, which I think is beautiful, because it's like, where is the entry point that enables me to be as light as humanly possible and still maintain that same sound? Ooh, no, right there. Drainage. Excuse me. Falls apart, but what I'm not doing is forcing it to stay together when it's like, no, I haven't navigated that perfectly yet today. And so allow it to open up sometimes without you gunning the gas pedal of air. Stay the course. Don't do anything different. Be patient. If you keep going the same way, it'll probably come back to you. Whoa. Which is like a tiny, tiny faint cry kind of sound, okay? Okay, I'm gonna come back down because I don't need to go any higher than this. I can if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna right now. I'm gonna skip a few. I moved my iPad here just because I want to be able to see. I'm looking at the comments here, and I don't want to have to like keep looking away. I want to be able to stay more focused on the camera here. So I see that there's more people in the room. So again, if you want to be entered into the giveaway for my free bundle of my masterclass series, comment and subscribe. You have to subscribe to my channel. It's like the easiest little button click. And then comment a question or something you're noticing about this, I mean, as much as I'm happy to answer questions about my camera, about the actual warm-up, okay? I'm going to talk for just a second about the early warm-up routine that I was mentioning before. I get asked a lot, how do you really get the voice warmed up? Because I've got a lot of worship leaders who talk to me about this, and they're like, I have warmed up my voice, right? I've done the exercises, I've done the normal warm-up routine, and then I'm still really struggling with getting my voice to feel like it's really ready until like 3 hours later, right? So how do I get there faster? Now the answer is that sometimes a morning warm-up is slower and longer, okay? But specifically, one of the most important things that I have noticed about my voice in the morning and how it feels, and this I get more sensitive to the older I get. I think part of this is hormonal, part of this is like I'm not young and spry anymore, and little things affect me more than they ever used to. But I'm more sensitized to them now. Now, they were affecting me years and years ago. I'm just so much more self-aware about it now. And those things are, what did I eat and drink the day before, and how much sleep did I get? So probably the most important would be in the latter half of the day, the afternoon, the evening. I would be avoiding alcohol. I would be avoiding probably dairy for most people. I would be avoiding sugar. Is a big one. And heavy carbs. Even clean carbs, like sweet potatoes, if you will, even though it's arguable whether or not they're super clean. They have a lot of oxalates in them. Google it. I'm not going to get into it. But if you were to be eating literally like meat, high quality meat, organic if possible, and real clean vegetables like broccoli or celery or I'm not even going to go into other ones because again, oxalates, Google it. But I want you to think about what you're eating and drinking, lots of water the day before, especially the evening before, and not eating too late at night. Like cut off your eating by 6 p.m. Get 8 hours of sleep. Do whatever you have to do because the next day you will feel that in your voice like nobody's business. Gluten is another one to avoid, which obviously if you're avoiding carbs, for the most part, you're probably going to be avoiding gluten, but not exclusively. It all depends on your own sensitivity levels to some of these things, especially something like gluten. Some people are allergic, some people are sensitive. All people are affected by it though, because gluten is an inflammatory, okay? So taking some kind of an anti-inflammatory to help you get things going, I probably would avoid, this is hard, I'm a huge coffee fan, okay? But if you are really sensitive to this, then maybe you avoid coffee until you've eaten, for sure, a protein heavy breakfast like meat, okay? And then warmed up your voice, then maybe try to experiment with coffee. But you gotta have to play with this. But I'm telling you, what you eat and drink and how much sleep you got the day before will directly impact your voice the morning of. If I didn't follow any of that advice, then my morning voice sucks. It's like, and it will take so long for me to get warmed up. I'm usually really congested in my nasal cavity. I don't have nearly the greatest access into my pharyngeal resonator, which means I'm going to compress harder, which means I'm going to work 10 times harder, and it's just not going to feel fun at all. So if I want my voice to warm up fast, I have to think about the things that are making inflammation occur, which takes longer to stretch and thin back out the next day, okay? That's your hack Take care of yourself. And I don't have a word for the vegans. I'm very sorry. I'm a big pro eat the meat type of person. So you can come at me if you want. But that's just, I'm all about regulating your blood sugar, okay? Insulin's your master hormone. Anyway, getting back into this. I'm going to get into chest voice now. I'm going to start down where I am comfortable starting. For me, that's easily on the F below middle C. I'm going to start with a hum because I feel good access in here today. Praise God. It's been a struggle for me lately. I'm going to go... Greetings from Bavaria. I don't even know where that is. That's amazing. Tell me where that is, Fortes. In right here because I'm getting up to the G close to that first bridge. Good so far. I'm gonna go one more. I'm just gonna see what happens. This feels a little sketchy. I tell you, I love this tool. Okay, I like to hook my index finger on the front of my chin to do this too. This is such a good tool for testing to see if you're straining. If your muscle's pulling down like a crazy person, then you're straining. Okay? Coming back down. If you have a question about that, ask it. If you've not heard me talk about it or explain it before. Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate that. I'm so glad that they're helpful. This will be a good one for you, too. Now I'm going lower. Now you hear, that's where vocal fry started for me. That's a D. Now I can probably hit this with clarity right now. Mum, 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 mum. But just a little bit. That's C, below middle C. And Liz, good question. Hold on, why is this I need this heart icon to move. So that isn't regular humming. It has a cry to it and a squeeze, and you start with some fry at times I hear. So I'm actually not trying to put any squeeze in here, but I am putting the cry resonance into it more so than not, right? So if I had less of that from the versus a that has a lot to do with resonant placement, and the which has way less of that buzz will probably lead me to push chest as I get higher. That's going to make me break right there too. So that crying brings it forward, which helps me prime the pump, if you will, for my mix. The vocal fry is actually in order to help me prevent myself from going to get low. But it helps me to stay the course of being in the same space, not manipulating in order to do something for the note itself. It helps everything stay basically the same, equal ultimacy. And I can add some squeeze to that. And sometimes it might be coming into it, but that one would feel and sound, if I had more squeeze in it, more like this. Which is actually harder to connect in because it's unnecessary right here. I don't need that much squeeze, so over compression can actually make the voice feel a little bit slippery around the bridge. Can you please explain the strain muscle under the chin? Yes. Okay. So when you swallow, when you press your thumb behind the bone of your chin, you press in right here and you swallow, you'll feel a muscle tighten up and pull down. That muscle is called your digastric muscle. It's one of the primary muscles responsible for strain. Primary, not solitary, okay, but primary. When that muscle's pulling down, you can pretty much be guaranteed that you're pushing from chest voice. And pulling up chest, because it usually is going to show up on the way up your range, okay? The closer you get to that first bridge and onward. When you're pressing that thumb in here, when it's relaxed, you are basically taking up all available real estate that muscle would otherwise have to occupy. And when it doesn't have anywhere to go, it sort of submits and your voice finds another alternative way to come about having cord closure. Now, if I'm going up toward my first bridge, it's very important for me to train that muscle to submit and not get engaged, okay? Because normally, as I go up to that first bridge close to it, which is A flat at the top of that 5-tone, then it's going to be more common for me to go and push, right? You'll see it here, you'll feel it, you'll notice the tone changes, the placement changes. If I'm pressing that thumb into this, there's nowhere for it to go, right? There's other things that you might need to pay attention to and troubleshoot, but all I want you to do is initially focus on that one. So it's a really good, it's like a mirror. It'll tell you the truth, right? It's a great testing tool for other things in your voice. Say, for instance, because now I'm going to go into a mix, and just because we're talking about it, I'm going to go into an edge type of exercise. Okay, so this is going to get a little bit of compression or squeeze into my mix, and see what happens when I activate an alternative muscle group that we want to use instead, which is called the arytenoids. Puts a friendly squeeze like a baby cry on the chords. I'm not trying to over leverage this, I'm trying to activate it. So if I go and they're just squeaky little sounds, you know, make it sound like something in real life, like a kid that goes like that. That kind of sound is very indicative of this coordination. And when you play with that in a scale, it's really, really helpful to release this muscle. And this is your tester, right? If you feel it trigger, first of all, let your thumb be the stronger component in the battle, okay? The alpha here, don't let that muscle bully you down. Press into that space and it won't be able to activate, or at least not nearly as much. It's a training tool, okay? And it's also telling you some stuff about your voice. So if you're unsure, am I straining? I can't quite tell. Because by the way, we're very, very desensitized to our own vocal abuse, okay? We've lived with it for so long, we don't even realize we're doing it. This will tell you. If you're unsure, press your thumb in here and you'll find out, okay? I'm going to do a few more of those. Something to note, you don't have to be clenching your teeth when you're doing this. In fact, I would argue don't, okay? I mean, in general, don't clench your teeth, but it's okay if your teeth are touching, just don't clench it, okay? But they can be a little bit open. I do advise people to remove, is the word, all available air space in the mouth. So like you do when you swallow, unrelated to this for just a moment, when you swallow, your tongue seals off your palate, and it sends all that sound to the nasal cavity because there's no open pockets of air hanging out in the mouth. This is helpful for the sound, okay? It's sounding good so far. I'm not going to change anything. I have good clarity in these. I always have. This has actually never been a struggle for me. It's a struggle for a lot of people. Trust me, I have my own struggles. I'll share them later. This has never been one of them, though. That clean staccato attack of the chords was never a problem for me. I actually find that people who have voices similar to mine have a similar strength zone, and I think it has to do with the fact that it's always been easy for me to thin out my chords and have clarity in that little pocket. Tell me, if you're listening, is that staccato easy or hard? I want to know. Tell me in the chat. Now, I'm not over squeezing this. That would sound like this. I'm like holding so much air back. I actually can exhale a little bit on the onset of these because I don't need a lot of air for this. I'll do one more. Oh my gosh, I love it. It feels good. It makes me feel like my cords are activating and doing the thing that I'm telling them to do. Now I'm going to come down on a staccato legato pattern. So this starts to test the waters of connection just a little bit. The staccato is helping me build the connection. I'm readdressing chord closure at every note juncture. Staccato legato, this one, gives me a opportunity to string a couple notes together and see if they flip or if they stay connected. My self-awareness here is really dialed into how neutral can I be 100% of the scale. That staccato legato feels good, so now I'm going to do the rest of the way full legato, which, I mean, full transparency, that's the harder one for me. The total legato one, the one that tests that chord closure, right? So the staccato one, I'm like, yeah, all day, in my sleep, totally fine. The legato one is like where my body's like, ah, because it feels vulnerable, and as it should. And this is where I'm like, I'm in a season in life, okay, where I'm embracing vulnerability, all right? So here I go, live on the internet. I'm gonna do, this is where I left off, right? I'm gonna do one staccato legato and then get into my legato. That one was actually really good. I actually kind of had fun on that because I have been, if y'all have heard me talk about this a little bit on like Instagram over the last, I don't know, maybe even year. I have no idea. I've been really struggling for off and on, but mostly on, for 6 years with chronic sinus congestion. Started when I was pregnant with my third child, and it's a condition called pregnancy rhinitis, which is really common in pregnancy. Shout out to anybody who's been there. And it just is like swelling, edema, inflammation, if you will, of the nasal cavities. It's a hormonal thing completely. I had it with my second and my third child. After my second child came out, it went away, so like very, very quickly, almost overnight. And then with my third, it just lingered for like actual years, fam. God bless. And I will tell you, nothing is maybe more frustrating to me as a singer than having like no access or always just sounding like I have a cold when I'm not sick into that nasal cavity. And the result of that is never really feeling a lot of release and resonant fulfillment in my nasal cavity. That means that I will typically overcompress to compensate for the fact that I don't have enough release in my mix. And I will counter this by saying basically that exercise was a little bit more of a compression-oriented exercise. What I loved about it and why I wanted to share was because I came at it from a place of vulnerability, especially at the end. I was not really utilizing much compression. Edge, yeah. Squeeze, compression, no. Instead, that slide helped me, because of vulnerability, feel like I was following this little path, okay, from like my mouth, that C curve that I like to talk about, up into that nasal cavity, sort of circling back down into my mouth, while never, ever changing the path mentally of my voice always moving forward and being in the same place at the same time all the time. No note got special treatment. I didn't rise and fall with this like up and down thing, because the reality is your voice does move from chest, nasal, head, right? But there's sort of this thing, this idea of internal and external resonance, right? And so if I'm thinking internally how there's that vibration in my chest and chest voice, and then up in head and head voice, and in that nasal cavity and mixed voice, but my external trajectory is always going to be coming forward and out, okay? And if I keep my eye on that prize, I can't lose for winning. Win for losing? I don't actually know that saying. But I felt the thing moving around. It was actually kind of cool to be almost like a third party observer. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can feel it. I can feel it kind of carving its way through. And I just really enjoyed that. So, Minky, you said it was hard at first. That staccato one, I think, is what you're probably talking about. Or maybe the thumb. What did it get better? Because you said it was hard at first. Guys, give me some questions. I want to answer some questions. All right. That was more on that kind of edgy side. Now I'm thinking about what I want to do for my voice next. It feels connected. It feels pretty clean. I'm going to do a meow. It's a good one for me. All right. Meow. Meow. Feels nice and easy. All right. I'm going to do a fun one that I was playing with the other day with my training club members, which I really enjoyed. Meow, mum, mum, mum. Meow, mum, 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 mum. Felt the need to swallow. Hang on. Meow, mum, 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 mum. That's a B flat up there. I usually don't take myself or others higher than that in a mix. Find it pretty unnecessary. I'm gonna come back down. Meow, mum, mum, mum. Now tell me what you guys notice. I'm making this like a quiz, okay? I'm going from a meow to a mum. What do you hear coming with me and also not coming with me from the meow to the mum transition? Just listen. Last one. Meow, mum, 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 mum. Man, I'm going to tell you, my voice feels good today. And it has been, I was saying I was struggling a lot with this like chronic sinus congestion stuff. And I've had a kind of breakthrough in the last month, maybe. And I'm trying to figure out what I think it is. Because the only thing I've really changed, I would say overall, with consistency is I started taking sea moss. Honestly, an Instagram ad finally got the best of me, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this. Is they talk about how there's like essential minerals that are found really only in like shilajit or sea moss that are essential nutrients that we don't get like any other way. And so one of these ads was like, are you struggling with sinus congestion, sinus problems? And I was like, who told you? Maybe. And they got me. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. I love trying like crunchy, natural things. So anyway, I gave it a shot, and I was super inconsistent taking it initially, and then I started, because it was like a subscription thing when you sign up. So I didn't take it all like every day, and then all of a sudden they emailed me and they're like, here comes your next bottle of CMOS. And I was like, oh, snap. Well, if I've already paid for it, I might as well start taking this consistently and actually see if it's going to do anything for me. And so I started taking it like every day. And it was shortly after that I started noticing I had so much more opening access into that space. And so I don't know. This is not an ad for CMOS. I'm not even telling you what brand it is. Okay. But it was something I tried, and it started maybe nothing, maybe God himself. I mean, it's just something starting to opening up in here, and it has made freaking world of difference in my connection. Gosh, my connection. Okay. I am warm. I'm going to tell you, I don't need to do anything else to warm up, but I'm going to probably do one more thing. And if you want me to do any particular exercise that maybe you find hard, tell me, and I'll do it. I think otherwise, if nobody says anything, I'm going to do one that I know I love doing, but only when my voice feels really good. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for anybody to tell me what they want me to do, Minky, tips for ear training. Do you mean like hearing pitch accurately? Like if you're flat or sharp kind of ear training? Or do you mean learning by listening, like learning how to... Like, I think that kind of means a couple things. Sometimes for a musician, it's like, can you listen to somebody play something and then play it? I don't know how to teach you that. I'm not that good of a musician, piano player. But tell me what you mean more specifically by ear training. I think that can just mean several things to different people. Okay, so the exercise that I'm going to do is one that used to haunt me at night until I finally figured out the secret for it. I'll show you what it is. That exercise starts in like a head mix and slowly opens up into a full-bodied mix and then connects back down. And it really builds on the 3 levels of connection, which build upon themselves and encompasses all of them together, which is basically being able to connect in range, coordination, and dynamics. And it's hard to do. The key here is getting your foot in the door with head mix. Even though I have freedom, I also have some drainage. So excuse me for having to work through that. Okay. The is head mix. I'm not like a pure head, but opening up to an then to a so you can hear how the same note on 3 different ways, shown to you 3 different ways, are showing you 3 different types of mix. Ooh, head mix, oh, light mix, more of a full-bodied mix. I wouldn't necessarily say hard mix. I could go there, but powerful mix, okay? I'm going to do a few of these. I'll move up to the next one. And the other key is connecting back down into chest, okay? Connecting up, connecting down, and opening it as I go. It's not easy. I'm gonna do one more. The very end, it was like, are you gonna land? I don't know if you could hear a tiny little transition bobble. It didn't break, but it was not as seamless as it could have been. That is an exercise I learned from Brett, who coached me. And I remember thinking, that's the hardest thing I've ever done. Why can I not do that? You can do it on other vowel patterns. And it wasn't until I learned that little trick of getting my foot in the door of head mix that whole exercise changed for me. And I was trying to move from a light, legit head voice into a hard mix, sort of like this. And I could kind of hack my way through it, but it was hella squeezed, okay? And that's not the it's not the goal, nor is it helping me achieve anything, right? Because when I'm doing that, and this is more of like a what is the word? This is more of like a meta concept, I guess, but the goal is never connection. Connection is an outcome. It is a result of the actual goal, which is coordination. If my coordination is aligned, if it is dialed in, connection flows, tonal improvements flow. Honestly, authenticity flows. I say this all the time. I'll put this on a t-shirt too, if y'all are still here about my t-shirt. Coordination is king. Or queen, whatever. Because that's the thing that's going to get us to the desired result that we want anyway. If you really want to connect, then you have to coordinate. And if I'm doing this properly, moving from head mix, I've got my foot in the door of mix, I'm just swinging it wide open through my mouth, okay? Ooh-ah! Ooh-ah! Is basically the sped up version with less finesse of ooh-oh-ah, right? The ooh, I feel it here, and then I'm just expanding on that by opening my mouth, which is my primary chest voice resonator. So if you're tracking and you know that mix is the blend of head and chest, then if I start with more of that head and nasal space, ooh, and then oh, ah, then you can hear how progressively the chest influence increases as my mouth opening increases. And that is how you go from a lighter sound to a bigger sound in a connected way. And because I started with mix, with that, ooh, I'm starting from a space of release. So that then when my hard mix or my loud, belty, powerful mix starts to show up, I'm still in a position of release. Whereas before, when I started from pure head and squeezed my way there because I was dying to connect, right? Then I'm not starting from a position of release. I'm starting from a position of excessive squeeze and compression. That does not ever equal a flowing, free, fluid voice, okay? I sometimes can't help but like really go deep into that kind of stuff. All right, I am gonna end the live, but thank you for everybody who joined and commented. If you commented on this live and you got like 10 more seconds to do so, you're entered into the giveaway. I will be letting you know within 24 hours who that is, but thank you so much for being here with me. Enjoyed your questions, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.